So there are a lot of types of games out there. You can make your own subcategories, divide them in your own kind of things. But generally you got the AAA games, the indie games, maybe the bad games, the good games, the comedic games, the fun games, the entertaining games, the heart-wrenching games, however you want to divide that. But then there's one type of game which I would say is like a child. It's a byproduct of the love that the devs have for their game. So, in other words, it's art, in my opinion. And there are a lot of games that fall into that. Indie games tend to fall into that, but that's not to say that AAA games can't also be art. We had Spider-Man PS4, you had God of War, you had a lot of AAA games which actually turned out to be amazing. But there's one game in particular that I want to talk about today, and that's Shadow of the Colossus. A game which I've said is one of my favorite games of all time. It is a game that a lot of people consider to be the best game ever made, but this isn't going to be a review. So before you click off thinking that you've seen too much of this already, the game's, 15 years old at this point, 14 years old? This isn't your simple old review, so why not stick around and see what I mean by that? So, I'll give you a quick rundown about the story. If you want to play the game, if you want to know nothing about the story, which I completely recommend that you do, click away right now. You can watch the video later. So, here's a quick rundown of the story. You play as Wander, a boy from a village, and you're accompanied by your trusty steed, Agro. You take a girl from your village, which we don't know who she is to you exactly. Her name is Mono. I would just like to stress that Agro's name is shouted every 5 seconds in the game, Mono's name is said once, and Wander's name is never said. It's only in the title of the Japanese version of the game and in the wiki. But yeah, the game is a bit ambiguous, but you'll get to know that the more you play it. You go to the Forbidden Lands. You'll find out later why it's called that. And you go to a temple, and you want to resurrect Mono. You meet the god Dorman. Dorman offers his services, but only if Wander kills the 16 colossi all around the map. That's all the information that you're given. He says that he can resurrect her, but it would come at a great cost. But Wander doesn't care, he wants to resurrect Mono. You go on your quest to kill the 16 colossi. And I would just like to say something is that the colossi never actually engage contact. There's probably like 1 or 2 colossi which attack first, but most of them don't actually engage conflict, which is something that kind of you start having your doubts, but you keep doing it anyway. After you kill the 16 colossi, and as you reach your 16th colossi, Agro falls down a very deep fall, and you just assume that he's dead. And it's a very emotional scene. It's a very great scene, thanks to the soundtrack made by Kao Otani, which is a beautiful soundtrack, and it was snubbed at the awards that year, but we're not going to get into that. Basically what happens after you kill the 16 colossi, Dorman takes over your body, regains his previous form, and it's then revealed that Dorman his soul was torn, it was divided into the 16 colossi, and was spread out across these forbidden lands in order to keep him away, in order to keep the world safe. So what he had done, he had just played you. He had just made you kill 16 magnificent, beautiful, outstanding creatures, and you fell for it. And you thought, but you knew there was something wrong, but you kept killing them anyway. And that aspect of the game alone, that made me change my view on murder in video games. And I don't mean like as an aspect of, video games cause violence. That's not what I mean. Usually in video games, when you're told, kill these 10 enemies, you kill them. You don't think twice about it. In this game, you're told, kill these 16 colossi. You know something's wrong, but you do it anyway. You never think twice about it. This game makes you think twice about it, yet you still did it. So that really shines the light on that topic, which you can easily overlook this topic once you finish the game, but it's something very essential to the experience to think about. At the end of the game, your village's elder, Lord Iman, throws Wanderer's sword into a fountain area, and it sucks away Dorman. And it's starting to suck away Wander, but Wander wanted to make sure if Mono was alright or not, so he was struggling. He was eager to reach her, but he couldn't. He kept falling, and he was sucked in. That moment was very beautiful because it shows that even when he was corrupted by a god, Wander's soul stayed intact. He was still wanted to make sure that Mono was okay. And during the credits, a scene plays in the back. Mono wakes up. Mono is resurrected. Dorman did keep his promise. And Agro shows up again because Agro didn't die. And he's a fucking badass. I'm not sure how it's physically possible for him to still be alive, but he is. And Mono and Agro walk to the fountain and they see this little baby with horns where Wander was sucked in. There are many theories about what that baby is, who he is, and that's basically the end of the game. Now you might be thinking, what did you just do? That's the entirety of the story. What more is there to this video? I'm gonna tell you, because I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about the amazing soundtrack. I'm not gonna talk about the story, and I'm not gonna talk about the technical aspect of this game. And the fact that it was released on a console which no one knew had that much capacity. It was released on a console with an 8 megabyte memory stick in 2006, 2005, and it keeps getting remastered every generation, and it still feels like a brand new game. I'm not going to talk about that. What I am going to talk about is in the post credits, you see Wander and Agro take the baby which they found, and they go to the top of the temple, an area which you've never seen before, and they just sit there. There are does and beautiful creatures and critters, and it's just this magnificent garden. And the game ends, and you're given the option to start a new Game Plus file. I was eager to reach that area as a kid, and I didn't know if I could reach the area. Nowadays you can Google it. It takes at least 4 new Game Pluses if you're really smart about using your grip bar, but I would recommend doing it like 6 times. And even then, you might cut it short. As a kid, I didn't know these details, however. As a kid, I went in blindly. I did 7 or 6 new Game Pluses, and it took a lot of time. It took a lot of hours, but it was worth it. Because I reached that top of the temple, and I found this beautiful area. And there was this tree, okay, and there were these fruit, which looked different from the fruit that you would find on a normal map, which just increased your health. These were different fruits. I ate one. I wanted to see what it did. Maybe it gave you a special item. Maybe it just did something. Maybe it was just there. What that fruit did, it sucked away all the health which I had stacked through these multiple new Game Pluses. So hours of work, hours and days and weeks of work were just sucked away. A lot of people see this Easter egg as a wasteful Easter egg, as a stupid Easter egg. I see this as a perfect Easter egg, because think about it. You worked so hard to reach this one area. You were eager to reach it, to experience it for yourself. Once you did reach it, that's it. You reached your goal. There was nothing more for the game. You've finished the game 6 times. So there's nothing more for you left. You don't need that extra health anymore. You're done with the game. So why not just sit back, relax, enjoy the view which you've got of this magnificent area. Enjoy the fruits of your labor, ironically. Because, in fact, what I had done as a kid, I would like to say that I was like 7 years old at that time. As a kid, I had worked harder than I had ever worked before to reach something which I didn't know whether I was 100% able of reaching or not. And once I reached there, I felt so fucking satisfied. I had done what I wanted to do, and it took so much time, but it was worth it. So why not? I don't need the health anymore. I'm not going to play the game another time. I'm just going to sit back. I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to enjoy what I am being given. I'm just going to take some time to myself and think, because that's not something that you're often given in life. And that's the end of the game. That's what I took away from it. A lot of people see it as wasteful. I see it as more than that. I see it as the best game ever made. I see it as Shadow of the Colossus.